So today's topic is about plot style, understanding how we can plot. And I will divide the plot operation into two. One is what we plot, and the other is how we plot. So basically, when we start a new drawing, let me start a new drawing. Okay, so here we are in HyDraw CAD. So let's understand first what to plot and then how to plot. So we have a model space and paper space. Inside model space, normally we draw. This is where we put all our diagramming. And now let me start with just a simple rectangle in my model space. And I can either plot in model space or a paper space. I like to have paper space because it's easier to plot because everything is already configured. But basically, when you do configuration in paper space, it is exactly what you will do when you plot directly in the model space. So let us understand what is happening. So now let's see how to plot this rectangle. So we stay in the model space, and to plot, there is a command here on the top left. It's called plot, or we can just type plot. As far as you prefer, you can type with a keyboard plot. And now you have this dialog. This dialog allows you to do a selection of plotter. As you see, by default, it's not having anything. So this default plotter, default paper, and so on is stored in the template. So if you need anything else, you can just apply the change and save as a template. Today we'll focus more on this part, on the plot style. But before jumping there, let me select the DWG to PDF and let me specify a paper. So let's say that I want an ISO full bleed A3. I want to center the plot, and I want to keep the landscape orientation. And as you can see, we can fit to paper, or we can specify a different scale. So let's say I want to put 1:2, and I center the plot. I want to plot a window, a selection window. I want to plot this part here only, and 1:2. And if you click yes, that's fine. If you click see preview, you can see the preview, and this is scale 1:2. So I can decide that my scale is 1:1. I can select it and preview. Looks good. If you click apply layout, so when you click apply layout, next time HyDraw CAD will remember this setting. So I recommend you click apply if you plot from model space. When you have found a good configuration for plotting, apply layout is very, very nice, because now even if you cancel, you don't plot, and you put anything else inside our geometry, and we plot again, then all the previously set configuration will not wipe out. So you will have again all the configuration. So in terms of what to plot, in this dialog, we have the possibility to specify the window, display, extent, limits, the paper size, and the printer. If we switch to a layout, let me go to a new layout now, and let's call it webinar. As you can see, by default, HyDraw, and this is applicable to AutoCAD in general, is creating this is technically called a viewport. Viewport is a frame that is displaying what is in the model space. A viewport may have a scale. So now in this case, we can scale directly what is in the model space very quickly, just by changing the scale, by keeping the same paper size. We can change the paper size in the layout by using Page Setup Manager, modify. And as you see here, we can specify a different printer. Let me take WG to PDF. I want an ISO full blade A3. And as you see, I didn't specify any plot style. Let's live with it for the moment. So now my frame is an A3. This is an A3. And what I plot is, in this case, only this small window. Let me make one by one so I can plot the part of the model space just by moving this window. If you want, you can add more of this viewport. You can go to the layout here and click on Insert View. Now HyDraw will jump again to the paper space, and you can select a different view. When you confirm with Enter, you will have a new view. So actually here we're doubling our geometry, and we can have a different scale, for instance. If you don't like the grid, which will not be plotted, but it's only visible here, you can double click inside the view and press F7, and the grid will not show anymore. So technically this is a viewport, and we can create as many viewports as we want from the model space just by using the insert view. And we can select a window, and this is creating a frame showing a part of what is in the model space. So what I do normally in the plot A4, A3 is preset the paper size and frame properly my diagram so that I don't need to every time create a new viewports. Now let's leave out the viewport for a moment. Now let's focus on plot style and how they work. So let me go back to the model space, and let's run again plot. So when you install AutoCAD, if you have AutoCAD or if you ever used AutoCAD in the past, you will see that, let me just open and create a new file with AutoCAD. Plot has really the same interface, but as you see here, the plot style table is called .ctb. In HydroCAD, we have .stb. So there is a big difference between STB and CTB. So CTB stands for color dependent table, and STB is style dependent table. So basically, with the color dependent plot, how you plot the way the line type, the line size, and line color is defined by the color itself. So if I go back to AutoCAD and draw my circle with black, and also do my rectangle with a different color, and let me change color and make it blue. If I plot and I select, let's say, monochrome CTB as a DWG to PDF and click preview, now everything will be black and white because I selected a monochrome CTB. But for instance, if I take an AutoCAD CTB, and we can see how this AutoCAD CTB is defined by looking at the table. So as you see, this is using object color, use object color. Now, if we do the preview, and now we can see that the blue is staying blue and the black is staying black. How can we change it into black? This is done easily by changing the style, and we can say color number 5 is black. Save and close. Preview, and now this is always black. So at the same time, even if we have a solid line, we can change by using this same table in the color dependent. We can define that the line type for that entity is dashed. Save and close. And if we do a preview now, it will be black and white with a dashed line type. So AutoCAD historically has this CTB, And a lot of AutoCAD users still use the CTB, so color dependent plot style. It's always a plot style, but basically the plot in this case is defined by the color. So the color of the AutoCAD entities is defining how to plot. So basically, you can really not use the color for what would be better, in the sense that color usually helping us creating a document, a drawing, and helping us visualizing what we do. In this case, color is really tied to how we want to present in a plotter our document. When we plot by style, basically we add an additional attribute to each drawing entities, which is the plot style. So let me switch back to HyDraw. And in this case, if I right click and open the properties, in this case, as you can see, that's a rectangle, that's a polyline. Let me make it not hide automatically. So every drawing entities has a set of attributes. So this is the AutoCAD part of each drawing entities that we see in HyDraw CAD. So an entity may have a color, and now it's taking the color by layer, belongs to a layer, has a line type, line scale, and as you see, it has a plot style. So in this case, it means that instead of using the color to plot, we have a plot style. So we can define how this entity will be plotted by selecting a different plot style. So it's more powerful because now it's not color driving how to plot the entity, but it's really an attribute of the entity. By using by layer, it makes sense because we control every entity, how it has to be plotted by the layer where each entity is lying in the drawing. So let's make an example, and first let's look at the plot style. So as you see, we are in STB, so it's not CTB, it's not color dependent, it's style dependent. So we add it, and now we see that in this monochrome that I am applying, I have only two styles, normal and style 1. And as you can see, the color is black for both. Let's say that I change and use object color for normal and save and close. So now, when I select this entity and specify that this entity is using the normal plot style and make it, for instance, blue or purple or whichever color it is. Now, if I do plot and preview, now we see that it's showing the color for that entity. It's not only that we want to control the color, because as you have seen previously with color dependent, we are able also to control the line type. So basically also here we could say everything that is normal will use a different line type. Let's do the same example, dashed, and we can have different line weight, different end style, and so on. Let me save it, and in the preview now we'll see that we have the dashed line. So from user perspective, it may not be different, making not much difference using color dependent or style dependent plot, because at the end you will be able to get what you need. But it's important to understand, because when you use HyDraw CAD, you most likely will be using a style dependent unless you change your template, because what we provide with HyDraw CAD is basically templates with the style dependent plot style. So let me switch back to black and to use object line type and save this. Now, with the same approach, I want to save as a new style called webinar STB. And this new style called webinar STB will keep object color for everything that is in style 1. Save and close. So now what happens is that if I, in the properties, if I assign a style 1 to an entity, and if I plot with that new style, so if I run plot and select the webinar SDB and click preview, now you will see that everything that is with style 1 is getting color, and while everything else stays with black and white. So when we do that, we understand that we can make a diagram. So let me quickly take some subsystems so that we have something that makes sense. That's a small diagram, which now I want to plot. So right click, I want to plot, and I can preview. And as you see, this is making black and white for some entities and color for others. It's completely out of control in this case. So let's fix it. Each entity in the drawing, when we click properties, has a plot style by layer. So it is controlled in this case by layer. So let's go to layer properties. And as you see, there are some layers with set to normal and other sets to style 1. So let's select all layers. And let's select normal for all. So normal, if you remember, was everything black and white. So now, having set everything to normal, so layer properties again, you can select everything with Control A. And if you click on the plot style, you can switch between normal and style 1. So in this case, now we can again plot. And the preview, now everything will be black and white. And of course, I don't like how it is framed, so let me change the window and select a different window and apply. So next time I will not again waste the time with framing. Preview, that's my drawing. But something more interesting is that I would like to use that possibility to display color for some particular entities in the drawing. So let's say that now I do something else in the drawing. So I go to the layer properties and I select only the layers using connection lines. So isolate control, drain, pressure, reservoir, working lines, and all the other line related items, pressure. I set them to style 1. So now I have specified by layer some layers that will use the style normal and others that use the style 1. If I now plot and preview, now you will see that all connection lines will be colored. So this gives us a lot of power because basically we can switch between a full black and white drawing or drawing with some entities colored just by selecting a different plot style. And this is how it happens, how it works. Now, the thing is that if we can control how to plot in HyDraw CAD, it will be very, very easy for us to do the plotting in HyDraw CAD. But now let me save this drawing and see what happens when I open it in AutoCAD. Because you may share your drawing with some of your customers and they say, I'm not able to plot. So that's our drawing called webinar. And let me go data 21 webinars, HyDraw CAD. If you remember, you can right click, add current folder. So that will be very easy to navigate through the project. So adding in this case, the webinar is nice because now I can quickly jump between different folders. Webinars, HyDraw CAD, that's my webinar. Save. So if you remember, this is style dependent drawing. So let me open with AutoCAD and see how it plots. So let me open the same drawing. HyDraw CAD and open the webinar file. So the drawing looks, let me see, this is strange. Let me clean it up. Let me open again with HyDraw CAD, looks strange. Let me purge. Purge is another powerful command that will remove not needed entities from the drawing. Let me save again. So I was not expecting connection dots in the drawing. Let me open again, now it will be fine. Okay, so this is our drawing, and if I plot, as you see, it's remembering the same plotter. It's remembering the same paper size, the same window. So if I preview, everything is colored because I am missing that webinar STB. So it means that this installation of AutoCAD is not able to find this style called webinar STB. Where are these files? So where is AutoCAD finding? And the same applies to HyDraw CAD. If you go to the options and go to the, let me clean, it's plot and publishing file location. As you see, all the file for the public publishers are here in the AppData local Autodesk. So you can also change. So basically, if you work in an organization where you want to centralize all configuration, you can even change and select a different folder for all the styles. This is not really a problem. In my case now, I may work in a different organization, so I may really not have that particular style. So the solution for the customer to plot this drawing is either is asking you this webinar STB file, which may be a bit complicated if he's not able to know where to find it. Otherwise, really the solution for the customer is easier, and it's a command called convert TP styles. Convert TP styles. It's available also in HyDraw CAD. So convert TP styles is able to switch a drawing from style dependent to color dependent. This command is bidirectional, so you can run another time to switch back to style dependent. So again, convert TP styles. This is the command. Now, if I plot, you'll see that it's finding really the CTB. So monochrome should most likely work perfectly fine in this case because it's plotting everything in black and white, except for the magenta, which we needed to understand why. Maybe it's a color. Properties. Plot style by color. So we need to check this color 20. Let me do a select similar. And let me change color. Let me put by layer. So by layer should be better. And let's plot again. Yes, so that color, if you see entities that do not get plotted black and white in color dependent, that means that that color is not mapped in the table for color dependent. So in this case, you can check the colors in the table by clicking and defining the color. So in that case, there was a color missing. So what I did was just specify a different color for that drawing entity, and now everything is black and white. The same happens in HyDraw CAD. So if you go in HyDraw CAD, so let me close this drawing and save it. So now I save. It's color dependent now. Let me open the drawing in HyDraw CAD. And if we plot, now you see it's monochrome CTB. If we preview, now we have the other problem because our monochrome CTB, in my case, I played with it. So let's try to understand why it is yellow. So it's because I put color number 50 as use object color. It was just a trick I made before this webinar. So if I switch it to black, save and close, and preview, and now it's again, everything is black and white. But what if you wanted to get back to styles, a plot by style? It's very easy. Again, convert TP styles, enter. Okay, and you are back. You select which style you want to use. I want to use the webinar. And now if I plot, now I have my webinar. And the preview will be with colors or with, of course, now layers. I will need to specify my layers. Normal. Please remember, when you switch between color and styles, you will, of course, when you switch back to styles, you are losing the mapping between layer and style. So what I did earlier, specifying a normal and style one, is now not applicable. I need to do again what I did. So control, drain, pressure reservoir, working, and all the other lines I had defined as style one. So now if I plot again, this will be again like I was expecting. If you prefer working with colors instead of styles, then what you need to do is you start your standard template. Let's say that my template is HyDraw Start. It's the standard one. I do once the convert TP styles. Okay. I save as template, and I save my templates as HyDraw Start. In this case, I overwrite it. Now every new drawing I make will use the, if I plot, will be set as a color dependent style. So if I use the monochrome and DWG to PDF, apply, let me put a small drawing. And now if I plot and select to plot, now I will see everything is in black and white, except the outline because it's not mapped in the color mapping. But again, it's possible to control it because you could go in the HyDraw options, miscellaneous. You can specify what is the color for the outline. So this one is maybe not mapped. So if you select a different color or something that is exactly the same color indexed by AutoCAD, it will be fine. So this is where you can control the color for the envelope.